Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to another edition of Friday with Sandy. That is
Sandy
Sandy
Kreisberg.
Kreisberg, HBS guru,
Hi, everybody.
MBA admissions consultant, the guy who tells it like it is. We have a great candidate here, Kelsey, who's in the nonprofit world and is seeking to, apply to Wharton, and we're trying to convince her to apply to a few other schools as well to kind of
Okay,
hedge her
Kelsey, why don't
bets.
you introduce yourself and explain to the folks what your work history has been and what your ideal job after your MBA would be.
Yeah, so my name is Kelsey, and I have a master's degree from the University of North Texas in political science and methodology, which is essentially statistics.
With
And
a 3.8.
yes, a 3.8. And I did a lot of work there. I've done a lot of work with academic papers since that and have gone to academic conferences, but I found myself at a nonprofit in Philadelphia where I'm a data analyst and report writer. And I do surveys of college students' opinions that are then used by our foundation to write reports and do media.
That's great. What kind of opinions about what? What are college?
Opinions about their civil rights and liberties and whether or not they want them to be protected.
Oh.
And so
I thought it was like who their favorite pop group was, or
right,
how Lady Gaga's doing it, or whatever. No.
I've totally thought of putting those questions and they'd be fun. But I have taken this information, we've made a lot of articles out of it, and now I'm like looking at where am I going to go in the future? And I think that the MBA would help me to learn how to run and manage a nonprofit eventually.
Yes, good. Okay, I agree with that. So what we've got here is Kelsey works for the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, University of North Texas. That was a MS program. She got a 3.8, and then she went to SUNY State University of New York at Buffalo. Boy, from Buffalo to University of North Texas. Whew. Yeah, you're possibly a long distance from a Starbucks, but of course I'm wrong, right?
We have a Starbucks right across the street.
Got to hand it to Starbucks. Okay, John, tell her what the gold plan is if you want to get an MBA in nonprofit management.
Well, there's certain schools that are very attractive to people like that. Yale and Stanford are two of them for sure.
Yeah, Yale kind of has this as part of its rep.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Now Kelsey has a little kicker here. She wants to stay in Philadelphia because her husband works there, but
right.
We're trying to talk her into going to Yale, and we're going to tell her how to do it. But first, tell her what's so great about Yale for nonprofit management.
Well, the key thing is you're going to find a lot of friends who immediately identify with what you do and will completely, totally support and encourage you. And that's not only in school, that's also in the alumni base and the network.
Yeah,
so that's really
network.
important.
Right.
And then they have terrific faculty in this area who've been pioneers in the business school community in the nonprofit and social enterprise sector. So you're going to get that as well. And the other thing that they have is loan forgiveness programs for people who go into the nonprofit field, where obviously the compensation is going to be much lower than going into anything else.
All things being equal, Yale would be ideal, right?
Yeah. And it's New Haven. It's an easy commute using a metro liner to Philadelphia.
Kelsey has her own, the heart has its own reasons. Kelsey has her own reasons. But for the folks out there watching, tell them how to live in either Boston or Philadelphia and go to Yale. Tell her what people often do.
Well, they commute. They go back and forth. Like you can spend some weekends with your husband in Boston or New Haven, and other weekends back in Philadelphia.
You're not helping. What you do is you find somebody, you become a roommate with somebody, and you spend 2 nights a week in New Haven. And people do that. So there's a way to do it. So that's what we're suggesting for Kelsey. But
And by the way, Yale is no easy, school to get into. It's very hard as well.
yeah,
But like the
20%.
GRE is what's the equivalent GMAT on the GRE?
710, 720.
Okay, well, no, it's sort of in the pocket there. Actually.
Maybe I was somebody else I was figuring out. She's got an 81% verbal and a 60% quant.
It's higher. I took it again.
Oh, good.
I'm above 92.
Hey, when were you going to tell us?
Sorry. I got above 92% of people on the verbal and the writing, and then above 62% of people on the quant.
All right.
So you're definitely a poet, Kelsey.
Yes, but I'm a data analyst, and so I'm hoping that they look at the nuance of my application.
Right.
I think, okay, where you would apply to, I think at Yale, they take 20%. I think you could be, you check out in terms of the GPA, you're a little low on the quant. You've got very good work experience. You went to pretty good schools. We're going to call them State U at Buffalo's, one of the leading schools of the SUNY archipelago. That's an excellent term. So you got a lot going for you, including a commitment to nonprofit work. So I think at Yale, someone like you would be a reach, but an acceptable reach, okay? Now your real preference is Wharton.
Yes.
Because you want to stay in Philadelphia. I think that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You're not their type. They care more about the quant stuff. They're not going to get it. And the fact that you want to stay with your husband doesn't cut a lot of mustard with them, quite frankly.
Well, I didn't tell them, but no,
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
They'd figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't figure it out. They say, "What? Why are you applying here?" If you got interviewed, they'd figure it out. I think
on the other hand, you'd find you would contribute to the diversity of their class. I think as culturally, you might find it less likable a place than Yale.
Yeah,
because you're going to see more finance types, and finance types. This is the generalization, everybody.
Okay, let me introduce my usual cold wind here. What are you going to do if you apply to Wharton and don't get in? What are you going to do the next year, Kelsey?
I have not thought that through yet.
All right, apply to Wharton. Maybe you'll get a bingo. At that point, if you're serious about getting an MBA, you'd have to. John, are there any other schools? Here, John is so good at this. John, institutions that give that award MBAs in the Philadelphia area. Besides,
wow. It's Wharton or bust. You don't want to go to Temple or Drexel or.
No, hold on.
St. Joseph's.
Why not?
Well, maybe you do. Maybe you do.
Because she's picking up. Kelsey, if you went to Temple, which is a kind of silver bronze institution, could you hustle yourself, or do you need the institutional support?
Oh, I can hustle myself. I mean, I went to the University of North Texas and did amazing.
Yeah.
By hustle, I mean write letters, get jobs, network within the nonprofit space. What would be an ideal job for you after you get your MBA?
I want to be the executive director of a nonprofit.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen after you get your MBA. Do people usually start there?
You can. I've looked at that. You could. There are some people who right after their MBA become like director of a division within a nonprofit or a department in a nonprofit. And so, I mean, that may be the first step.
Okay. I'd visit Temple.
Yeah.
I'd see what the program is like. I'd see what their whatever they call that job career office is like.
Mhm.
That could, you may look. I don't think you're getting into Wharton. Okay,
Mhm.
you may not need a Wharton MBA.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other issue. You may not need that. Yeah, exactly. You may not need a big brand MBA to achieve your goals.
Right. It's just
Yeah.
for you. It's like getting your ticket punched.
Yeah.
So I think that's.
I would say you should just broaden it and just once you apply to one school, it gets a lot easier to apply to another, right, Sandy?
Yeah, that's true, John. But I'm paying homage to her desire to stay with her husband. So we're
Yeah.
dealing with that constraint. And
Well, I would expand it and go. I would look at NYU. I would look at UVA.
yeah, so I would do two things. I'd look at Temple, and I'd look at how hard it is to commute to New York or
Washington.
Yeah, there are people who do that. You know people who do that, Kelsey?
Yeah. No, I know that can happen.
You know, have you spoken to people?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a hassle, but it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wind up enjoying the train ride or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, it's study time.
Yeah, you go. The train ride's the nicest part of my week now.
You can adopt another city that you and your husband could enjoy on the weekends.
Blah, blah. So
It's a big deal.
there
Really?
you go. I think so. Conclusion of this confab. We got to meet you. I think the Temple. I think possibly commuting at Yale is a good tip you got out of us, and the possibility of applying at Temple. So
Mhm.
Look at Georgetown. Look at
I think
NYU.
I think I've earned my no dollars and no cents, and also given you $1 million worth of advice. So
Okay, hey Sandy, what's the odds at Yale?
25%, but it's going to take 25 to 30% with really faultless execution.
Okay, and honest odds at Wharton.
Boy, 10%, 15%, unless someone knows something I don't know. I just don't. Well, you got this news score, but man, Wharton is really hard to get into, John.
I know.
Yeah.
So at Yale, execute perfectly. At Wharton, make sure you. Did I see here that you're an active member of the Catholic Church? Keep up that membership and do a couple of whatever's done there for special causes. Who's the saint of far-reach admissions? Kelsey, do you know?
I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
Check out Georgetown.
I will look at Georgetown.
Seriously, it's an easy ride to DC.
Yeah.
Great city for you and your husband to play in.
Yeah.
And it would be well worth your while, really.
Cool.
Okay, John.
All right.
Kelsey,
Hey,
great.
Kelsey, good luck to you. Sandy, thank you once again. This is Friday with Sandy. If you'd like to have Sandy look at your resume and your application possibilities, just fill in the little form that we have on the site, and maybe you get lucky and get a free analysis. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.